What's up, guys? It's Kevin and Steve, founders of Bombers and Sleeves, a clothing and lifestyle brand dedicated to artists, writers, musicians, anyone currently on a creative path, or anyone looking to start a creative journey of their own. Our goal with this company and our BombCast is to make sure you win the internal war of your creative pursuit. Now, what does that mean? Well, we sum it up in 3 words, and those 3 words are bomb your boundaries. Now, what does that mean? Well, let's think about it real quick. What has more intense, focused, explosive energy than a bomb? Not that much fucking else. And so we use that as a metaphor to say if you want your dreams to come true, if you want your creative vision to come through, you have to get intense, focused, and explosive. So now you know what that means. It's the slogan for the whole company. It's all over our Facebook page, our Instagram page, all that good stuff. So now you're in the know and you get it. So the point with this show, we bring on guests that embody that bomb your boundaries mentality, whether they know it or not. We see that they exemplify it in their daily life. So we like to bring them on and get some insight for you guys on how they do what they do, how they've created success that they've had in their life through their creative dreams. And today is no exception. We have an amazing guest who just completed her first book. She is an awesome person we are excited to have on the show today. And I'm going to hand it over to Steve because he knows a lot more.
I do. I know this person very well. So she is the author of the new book, Fuck Them All, Big and Small, coming at you this summer 2019. She's one of the most amazing and creative, wild, wacky, and most beautiful she is the most beautiful woman I've ever met in my entire life, and I can say that because it is my wife. Ladies and gentlemen, we are very honored to have this beautiful creature here in our studio, Miss Wee Porcelli Lester.
Oh,
hey,
thank you.
Welcome.
Hello.
It's really Christina Porcelli Lester, which I still haven't changed it to Lester, but
Are you sure it's really Jonathan Taylor, Malcolm Thomas, right?
sounds like a lot.
Okay.
I didn't realize it was Celly. I thought it was Chelly.
It is Chelly,
Oh, okay.
but
Some pronounce it Pacelli.
my father says Pacelli,
Okay.
but I say
All right.
Porcelli because that's the way you pronounce it, like in Italian. That's how it's supposed to be.
I figured we were
Got it,
it's
got
gonna
it.
get pretty Italian in this room, so I'd start off by pronouncing Porcelli as Pacelli.
Porcelli
Yes.
actually means little pig in Italian. It really does.
No shit. Oh, wow. I
Yeah.
did not know that.
Okay.
So we got a lot of ground to cover today
Yes.
in a good way. So what I love about Christina is she's kind of like a serial creative entrepreneur, if you will. She's had a lot of different roles on many different things, and I'm excited for her to kind of take you down that rabbit hole today. There's a lot of cool stuff that she's
thank
done
you.
throughout her life. Yeah, absolutely. That I think will be cool for you guys to hear. One thing that I guess we'll start it off that we all have in common, we are all on the 75 hard challenge that we were talking about on the last episode, and it has been a ride so far. Christina, what are your thoughts on it so far? I'm curious.
I always do like at least once or twice a year. I will do like a new diet or a new workout, but this is probably the hardest because it's 75 days. I usually do stuff for like a couple of weeks, a month, but it's pretty intense because you can't drink. There's no alcohol involved. I miss my wine.
Yeah.
I think it's more of like a mental toughness, like because you have to work out twice a day, 45 minutes. Everybody knows this. You guys talked about this.
Yes.
We have.
But basically, for me, I think it's attracting more like positive things. Cutting out the alcohol. I added meditating into mine as well,
Nice.
and I meditate like once or twice a day. But I feel really great. But some days I have some meltdowns. Like I'll just like freak out and be emotional for no reason. I guess it's like the detoxing
Oh
of
yeah.
Yeah,
everything,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Definitely. I think you're not so numb to everything. When you have like a glass of
Yeah.
wine to fall back on or like a beer or something, I think, you take it for granted how much that kind of quiets the noise. So I think you're just a lot more, I'm speaking from my personal perspective and projecting it onto what you may be feeling too. And that is, you're just a lot more open to feeling things in their entirety.
Yeah,
And
that's
that
so
can be-
true.
Yeah.
Because everything, you're feeling everything. Usually if you're like, oh, screw this, I'm just going to have a drink
Right.
and
Numb
not think
out.
about
yeah.
it.
Yeah,
But you have to deal with every emotion that you're feeling. You can't escape it.
totally.
That's so true.
That's healing, though.
Yeah.
That is healing. And we've had those moments too,
Oh my
just with
God.
like whatever kind of shit kind of was thrown at you that day, where usually like you're right, the first thing you would do be like, just pour me some tequila. And we don't have that outlet anymore.
Yeah,
So
or like
you
going
are forced
out.
to really feel that.
You're feeling
and
everything.
deal with it. And that's great though, because I think it makes you as I don't know, it makes you stronger, and it makes you kind of a tougher person
I
because you
think
can't
so.
just wipe it away.
Totally.
But I was telling Steve, I'm like, once the 75 days is over, I still am going to like not drink as much as I was drinking. Because I do like feeling everything and being aware. And like, I just feel, it makes me feel like more open to things. I don't know. I'm attracting these things that I'd never imagined. I don't know. I'm getting a little too.
No. I love it. I'm right there with you. I totally feel that as well. I think it's just because, excuse me. I think it's because your awareness just opens tenfold.
Mm-hmm.
So I think maybe all that stuff's always been there, but now you're just present in more continuous moments to notice it
Definitely.
instead of like thinking. Because even the act of forget about the drinking itself, the like contemplation of when you're gonna drink and like the daydreaming of it. It's like, man, I can't wait to have that beer later. And then you play out like, okay, I gotta go to the store before I get this. Like, not only does it take up a lot of mental space when you're actually consuming the alcohol, but like the pre-planning for it takes up a lot of space
And
too.
I
that's all
really
wiped out.
enjoy waking up because I don't feel like crap.
Yes.
Like after you drink, it feels good at the time and you're having fun. And then the next day you're like, oh my God, I feel terrible. And I was saying to Steve, like, like when you drink, you're like, oh, let's do this and let's do this. We're going to plan all these things. And then the next day you're like, forget that. I'm not
It's
doing
so
shit.
true because you're not, because you feel like shit and you're like,
Yeah.
that was a good idea. But there's no follow through when you wake up
No.
feeling like shit. You have great ideas and usually you never see them through.
It's so true.
That happens, yeah.
Yeah. And in a weird way, I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but like sometimes I will, so how do I word this? Sometimes when I'm drinking, like I'm very free with my speech and just kind of open and honest and, I give myself permission to like speak more freely. Now I almost find myself like slipping into like buzzed type states, even without
Oh
alcohol.
my God, I know.
And just
Yeah.
and talking like I would talk if I was
Yeah.
drinking, but it's even more sincere and clear. I'm like, wait, this is like some buzz shit, I would say, but I'm
Yeah.
like, but I actually mean it. Like, this is weird.
I know.
Yeah.
We went out when you guys did that event last week, and
Yeah.
I felt drunk. But I mean, I don't know what was going on. I just felt like I had this like high, and like I don't know. I felt hungover like the next day. I don't know.
That's crazy.
It was weird.
Yeah, you did say that. You felt. I kind of felt at that thing too because I think it was cool. You got to experience it. We obviously were not drinking. Everyone
Yeah.
else around us was.
Mm-hmm.
But I was having conversations. I think with Neil and like Elizabeth and stuff. Were like probably things I would say if I was like feeling all right, feeling a little buzz. But you're kind of just feeling great in the moment, and it's coming out. It's coming out more sincere, and you actually are very aware of what you're saying.
And you
Instead of when
remember
you're buzzed,
everything.
you're like, yes. Because, that's a big thing. I told Kev this, and you know this too. I was sick and tired of going to like networking events and like having to, because I hated to go to those things and like having to go to the bar first. Like I could never just like go see my friends. I'm like, wait, I gotta go to the bar first because I hate doing this shit, and I go get myself a drink, and then you'd feel loose enough, and then you have all these conversations all night. You technically network, and then I come home and be like, I don't really know what we talked about. And granted, the other person they're probably sipping too. They don't remember either. But I'm like, that's no way to go about
So
it.
is it really networking?
It's not. No, it's not. It's just showing up and getting drunk.
Yeah, it's a reason to go
Yeah.
out and. I mean, whatever. Some of those things are worth networking, but when you're not drinking, I feel like
Yeah,
you walk away with more. I don't know.
I
Yeah.
agree. I think after the 75 days, I don't think I'm gonna go back nearly where I was.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, and you could almost argue that with like, why would you? I mean, you put in all this work
I
to
know.
like
Totally.
to catch all this momentum. Like, why would you just destroy that at the end of it?
I agree.
I bet, just if I had to guess, it's probably really hard to go back to that. Even if day
Yeah.
76, we're all like, yeah, let's fuck it, dude. We're done working out. We're going to the bar right now. You would feel disastrous the next
You
day.
get
So-
drunk
yeah.
immediately.
Totally.
Yeah.
But B, I bet you wouldn't even want to necessarily. You're just like so in the habit and routine of doing all this other stuff that
I agree.
Yeah, and if we are gonna drink, like, hell, I'd rather my first drink be with you guys, and
Oh, totally.
and maybe that's not gonna be on day 76, but maybe we'll go get something like nice, like actually get like a real drink. Not, I don't want my first drink to be like a beer.
No, I'm not gonna drink
Yeah.
something shitty after all these days. It's gotta
Something
be
nice
like,
that you know. Shit, all the money we're saving by not going out. It'd be nice to just get something a little bit boy and be like, cheers.
Yeah.
This is for all the all the hard work we put in.
But there's people that live this every day that, you know what I mean? Like this, like, you know, I just think like most people who are like extremely successful and like need to have their brain working constantly. Not that we don't, like,
right.
but I just feel like they probably live this every day. Or people who are like on tour, like you can't put shit in your body. Like you have to work out and be healthy and not drink if you're doing something big.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, and that's a good point too. That's the whole reason why we're going down this rabbit hole, is because we've all collectively reached a point where every single one of us, wants something bigger for our lives.
Yes.
So you got to start the training ground now of like seeing just what the mental capacity entails.
But those people
awesome.
probably, like I was saying, like, you know, like say like J-Lo, I don't know. I know she doesn't like drink very much or at all. And she goes on tour, she eats healthy, she works out. But then I'm sure she goes away for like a few weeks and just does whatever the hell she wants.
You
Like
have to have a reset,
you have to reward yourself, you know?
Yeah. Because I couldn't imagine having all those tour dates, all that. I just to keep the energy level up without collapsing.
Yeah,
you gotta,
there has to be a release.
Yeah, you have to have like cheat days. This is hard because we don't get any cheat days.
Yeah, no pizza,
None.
dude. That's fucked me up, man.
No pizza.
You know what?
And no rest day of working out. That's like hard on your body.
It is, yeah, and I guess so. You can replace it with like active rest days, right? Like 2 slower paced walks.
Yeah.
And you're
Yeah.
still
True.
just make sure that heart rate's like just real moderate, and that's basically like a rest day. You know,
Yeah.
you're not doing anything super crazy.
Yeah.
But that works.
Yeah,
If you're listening to this and drinking right now, we're not hating on you. In fact,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
jealous. So
Drink.
Cheers.
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 Pour a
Drink
double
up.
for all of us. We don't want to sound like Christian band camp.
No,
over
no,
here.
Oh yeah,
no,
we're
no.
not hating.
But at the same time, it has been cool. In case you're curious, what were you gonna say, Steve?
Oh no, I was just reading about like a lot of celebrities before they film movies, like they always take a vacation and they I'm sure they drink and they celebrate and they party because they're recharging. They're being loose and they're living their life, kind of what we talked about with like the playfulness and stuff. Like you have to, like, especially when you're a creative person, you have to allow yourself to, like, look, we all have vices or we all like want to enjoy
Totally.
life too. But when they get in the zone, when like they can do that for just a little bit, and then when they get in the zone, they're in the zone. Like they don't even think about drinking. They don't think about nothing until their job is done. And they get paid a lot of money to mentally feel like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing too. One of these past podcasts that Andy put out, Andy Frisella. If you guys don't know, if you want to listen to the MFCEO project, it's definitely like business entrepreneurship centered, but it's where we got all this from. So it's kind of cool to listen. Anyway, he said that the 75 hard program can act like a reset program for like the rest of your life, right? If you fall off and you're like, man, I just need to get my shit back on track. Now you have this
Yeah.
whole program here to fall back on, which is, and it's it's easy to memorize. You can. It's I don't know, it's a cool thing to like have in your back pocket.
Oh yeah.
I feel accomplished every day. I was like, I mean, we're not even halfway through this, but I don't know. I feel like
Feels good to
looking
check
at
it
the-
off, yeah.
checking the days off the
Yeah.
calendar. I'm like, oh, it's getting closer and closer
Yep,
to achieving the goal.
totally.
Yeah, we were just saying June went by in a flash, man. Like it's next week's 4th of July. Damn. Where did
Crazy.
June go? And I'll give us credit, guys. We're doing it in the summer. Which we thought, I think
Patio
we all kind of
drinking.
agreed. Yeah, we all kind of agreed summer might be easy for us because, first of all, I'm a big football fan. I can't watch football without a beer in my hand. So fall time, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
like
fall
that'd have been
and
tough.
wine.
But this is big vacation time. This is big beach time with like Coronas and frozen drinks. This is big patio time, sipping on your 2-for-1s during happy hours. Like we just it's especially like living around here, man. I mean, Nashville's a big drinking city. I give us a lot of credit, man, because we could be those people going out, and we decided we're not. We're gonna work on ourselves. And
I like it.
that's
I
pretty
think
fucking
I'm
awesome.
more disciplined
Yeah.
in the summer
Yeah, totally.
because the winter, you just want to sit around, eat, drink wine,
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're hibernating.
pizza.
Yeah. Right now, I guess the hardest part of it would just be how hot it is outside when you're doing the outdoor workout. But
Yeah.
even that
Yeah.
is still not terrible. Because like we all said that, the gallon of water requirement, we've all blown past that. So now
Totally.
we're nice and hydrated throughout there. So and actually the heat
Yeah.
doesn't really get to you that much when you're upwards of 2 gallons of water a day.
Did you ever
No.
have you had to go walking outside or running outside in the storms that we've had? 'Cause we have.
Yeah, just once. So I was going to ask you guys, what's been your craziest like outdoor workout experience so far?
Pouring down rain, and you're
Yeah.
just like, damn it, we have to do the outdoor
Yeah.
work. We
Isn't-
have to.
Isn't that kind of
down-
cool though? Like Viking
I
warrior
know, I
shit.
feel
You're
it.
like, I'm fucking doing this, and
I
no one
like
else
it.
is
I
doing
was
this right now.
surprised you would tough it out. I mean, like, because I know it was treacherous. Where like the umbrella's not even
It's like that
helping.
movie with what's her name, Ashley Judd, when she's like training to kill her husband, her husband pretended he was dead, and she finds out he's still alive, and she like starts training so she can go find him and kill him.
I
What
know
is
what
that
you're
movie?
talking about.
And she's in the rain. She's in the pouring down like rain. That's what I felt like. It's with Morgan Freeman. Her and
Oh yes,
Double Jeopardy.
Double Jeopardy.
Jeopardy. That's right.
That's a great
yeah,
movie.
that's what I felt like in the pouring rain. I was like, yes.
Nice. Yeah, I know. I texted Steve the other night. I had a cool experience because I like, sometimes my days will just be too full where I got to get those workouts in, around midnight, 11:30.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
so,
You work out at 11:30?
Well, just do like a brisk walk outside.
Damn.
Right. I'm not like going Iron Man crazy out there, but yeah, I'm out there, which is actually kind of a cool like pseudo spiritual experience because it's really quiet in our neighborhood. We got a bunch of like wild rabbits running around, and there's hills and stuff too. So on clear nights you can see the moon. I don't know. It's
Oh,
restorative.
wow.
It's cool.
Yeah, totally.
But the other night it started raining, and I had the Muddy Waters and Rolling Stones live at the Checkerboard Lounge album from playing. Just super, it's amazing blues album. If you guys haven't checked it out, it's a classic. Back in 71, I think. No, 81. Anyway, so I was just listening to that in the rain, like doing the walk. So I took a screenshot, I sent it to Steve. I was like, "This is a fucking cool experience right now,
Hell
man."
yeah.
Because like the blues, like
Yeah.
especially like that Delta blues, makes a lot more sense when you're slogging it out.
Oh,
at
yeah,
fucking
in a
12
rainstorm.
midnight in the rainstorm. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. No, that's awesome.
yeah.
Well, that's where we're at, guys, and I'll tell you what, anybody.
Day 26, right?
Yeah, day 26, and we'll keep you updated on the journey. The more we go, but it's definitely. I think we all agree it's been very beneficial, and shout out to Andy Frisella for creating such a genius, just a genius routine, man. This is crazy.
Yeah, that's good. Also, before we get into it, we got some cool shit coming up. Thanks to Christina who
okay.
gave us the shout out for Rock and Pod, which is a rock and roll / podcast event coming up in August here. So if you're in Nashville, we're going to be at the Nashville Airport Marriott, which is a cool place. They redid it on the inside if you haven't had a chance to check it out. But anyway, there's going to be people from Stryker, Danzig, a bunch of different...
Yeah.
I just heard the bass player from Megadeth is going to be there doing like some
Oh,
signings and
what?
stuff. Yeah, it's kind of cool. So it's a day-long event of rock-based or music-based podcasts, and then there's also like seminars for podcasters, but then you can also meet these like rock stars too, and do a meet and greet with them. So anyway, we're going to be recording live from there, which is awesome. We're also going to have all our merch for sale as well. So if you want to, if you're in the Nashville area, or if you want to fly out and say what's up, that'd be badass. We'll be set up there. So I got to give the nod to Christina for hooking us up with that. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. It was through somebody I know, so they won a contest to come to Nashville.
That's right. Yep.
Totally Driven Radio.
We got to have him on.
Yeah.
We'll talk to him. Yeah, anybody, if you guys coming on, come say what's up. We'll put you on the podcast. Kevin and I will be doing it live. And I believe it's Striper, right? And
Striper, sorry.
Yeah,
Oh, Striper. Now,
Yeah,
hold on.
I
love
used
that.
to love Striper.
You did. Now, I thought Striper was they're Christian rock,
yeah.
but no one really knew they were Christian.
I didn't know they were
But
Christian.
they were big.
They were huge.
Yeah.
Calling on you was what their song.
Calling on you.
Calling on you or
Yeah.
calling on me.
I don't know.
I think it was calling on you.
But they wore the cool outfits, right?
They did.
Striper,
I had
wore
a
the
Striper
striped
t-shirt.
Yeah, it was a black and yellow, right?
Yes, it was black
the
and
Striper
yellow.
onesie. Oh man,
It's badass.
we got to talk to that guy.
Got to.
I need to meet that guy because I used to love him.
Oh yeah, well he'll be there.
Yes.
Say what's up.
So anyway, take us back, man. What's the...
Yeah, man. So let's get into.
Lead-
Okay, so
lead us
I know
through.
I pretty much know everything about our guest, and I'm very blessed to know
I would
everything
hope
about
that
her.
you
So
would
we're
know everything. Well, Kevin knows me
everything.
too.
And Kevin knows. Yeah,
I do.
He
Kevin
just
knows
doesn't
pretty
know,
much.
like personal things that I have written in my book about myself.
Right.
I've delved
Right.
into my past.
Yeah. So I mean, the
A
whole
bit.
point of this is let's get to know you a little bit better, and really excited about the book. So let's take it back. Let's go back to Brooklyn.
Oddly enough, I had a song called "Back to Brooklyn"
Oh my gosh, you did.
when I was because I used to be in a pop duo with my sister.
Yeah.
And then I went solo, and that was one of my songs, "Back to Brooklyn."
I believe,
Nice.
if I remember correctly, it went going back to Brooklyn.
Oh my God,
the
yeah.
place where I am from.
No, you
What is it?
close but wrong, but whatever.
What was it?
Going back to Brooklyn, that's where I grew up.
That's where I grew up.
Back to the
Whatever,
place that
right?
taught me so much. I'm not going to sing it. That was terrible. But whatever.
So
Anyway.
let's go back there.
awesome.
Tell us about growing up in Brooklyn.
Growing up in Brooklyn, I grew up in Canarsie,
Okay.
and
That even sounds cool.
I grew up in the 80s, and I grew up with a single mother. My parents got divorced when I was like 4 years old, and my mom and my grandmother raised us. My dad wasn't around for a while. Like, I'm super close with my dad now, but he wasn't around like on and off because he didn't deal with the divorce very well. So we didn't see him a lot. So it was basically my mother and my grandmother who basically was like my father, because she basically was like a man. I mean, she was beautiful and everything. Like, she didn't look like a man, but her personality was like really strong and tough, and like
She had a lot
what
of
I
masculine
imagined what a
energy.
father would have been, like if I had a father that raised me. So yeah, she was basically the male figure in my life.
Well, say in the book, "Fuck 'Em All Big and Small" is dedicated to that woman.
It is.
your
It is
grandmother.
inspired. The "Fuck 'Em All Big and Small" is. It's crazy because my grandmother used to say that. She would say "Fuck 'Em All Big and Small" at the dinner table, like on Sundays.
Just like as a euphemism, just like,
Yeah, like as a
fuck them all,
yeah,
big and small.
like as a
Anyway, pass the
mantra.
spaghetti.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like
Right?
when we would sit down to do like a cheers, or like, most people sit down and they're like, "Thank you God for this food," but it was like,
Right.
she would
She's
just
like, these assholes.
she would be like, hold up her wine glass and be like, "Fuck 'em all, big and small," which basically meant like, fuck everything. Who cares what people think about you? Do what makes you happy. Focus on yourself. Be strong. Like, just keep moving forward and never look back. Like, just fuck everything. I know it's crazy.
It had a bunch of different
Got it.
meanings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it
So-
always made me feel like, because I was always like a nervous kid, it always made me feel calm when she would say that.
Nice. Okay,
Yeah.
that's a cool insight there. That's rad. What was like her occupation? I'm curious
Yeah.
about her background too.
So
How'd she wind up in this house with you?
Well, we didn't live
Obviously,
with her.
well, she's your grandma, obviously,
Yeah.
but like
We didn't
what
live with
led-
her, but we basically lived with her because my mom worked like 2 jobs. So she would watch us on the weekends, and
Okay.
she'd either come to our house or we'd go to her house. But her husband died when they were both like 43.
Oh wow, that's young.
And she never got married because she said like my grandfather gave her enough love to last her a lifetime, which is very sweet and very sad.
Yes. Yeah.
But she had 3 kids when he died. So she never worked. She was like a housewife.
Okay.
So she went, and she used to like fake it till you make it kind of thing. So she went to like the school cafeteria where her kids went to school, and she was like, I have experience as a cook, which she didn't. I mean, she cooked at home.
Yeah. Nice.
And she's like, yeah,
Close enough.
I've cooked in kitchens before, and they hired her.
okay.
She did that for a while, and then when when the kids got a little older, she worked for this pharmaceutical company, and she would pick orders like for pharmaceutical companies, and she worked nights.
Okay.
So like, she made a good living. She always had money. Like, she basically like supported us.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what was your mom was doing 2 jobs?
Well, my mother, when she got divorced, she had like part-time jobs when we were kids, when she was married, but she had to work 2 jobs because my dad didn't give her child support for a while. Mm-hmm. So at first she was on welfare, but she didn't want to be like part of the system. So she went to school and she worked in a laundromat folding clothes.
Wow.
While she went to school, and then she worked for an insurance company. Like, she got a really good job. And then throughout the years, she just kept moving up and moving up. She wound up working for Citigroup, and she made like a really great living. And
nice.
She changed her life around.
Oh, that's right. But there was an interesting, I think, side job that she did for maybe the Gambino family.
She worked. No, not Gambino. Well,
I'm just kidding.
It was she worked for the mafia. She worked in a coat room.
Okay.
Like so she was working in the laundromat, going to school, and then she was working on the weekends at night in a coat room at a nightclub in Brooklyn, where all like the Goomba mafia used to go. And she used to come home with just stacks of money.
Crazy.
Yeah.
from tips?
Yeah, from tips. From working in the coat room, they'd be like, Ro, can you watch my coat? Which meant they probably had like a piece in their coat. They had a gun. Like,
wow.
So she was like terrified, but also they were like really good to her.
Yeah.
And they knew like not to mess with her.
Yeah.
So she was making good extra money on the side.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
It's
I'm always
crazy.
a fan of like Scorsese movies and stuff.
My uncles would be like, "What are you working there for? What the heck is wrong with you?" They'd be like, "What, you're gonna get in the middle of something." She'd be like, "Shut up." She's like, "I could take care of my own. I'm good."
Yeah.
But yeah, I learned from them to be like independent at an early age.
Yeah.
Like, my first job was at like 9 years old.
Yeah. I'm curious, like, what it's like just being born and raised in Brooklyn. Like, your mindset has to be completely different from everyone else. Were you aware of that, like, younger?
I don't like. I wasn't as aware of it as I am now. Like, especially because I live in Nashville, it's like completely different.
Right.
But like growing up in Brooklyn, I grew up with like every nationality, culture, religion, and like you didn't think of it. Like I was saying, like I didn't realize what nationality or color or race anybody was until I got older and became an adult, and people like were racist around me. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But I loved growing up in Brooklyn because I was introduced to so many like languages and food and like fashion and music. Like, like I hung out in the projects, you know what I mean? Like I hung out in the projects and all my friends were like ethnic.
Yeah.
And then I also had like my Jewish friends, my Italian friends, like
just Bobby Risigliano, Marco
so
Vino.
Many cultures and like so many people with like huge personalities.
That's awesome.
And like all different walks of life. People like a lot of my good friends were like rich and their parents were married. But then my close friends that I went to school with, they were like, on welfare, or like their parents were divorced, or, they came from like bad family. I mean, like bad homes,
right.
like, and, but I was telling Steve, cause Steve grew up, my husband, Steve, right here, over here.
This guy.
He grew up in, Ohio. And I'm like in my school at lunch, people would like beatbox and freestyle rap. And like the teachers would even give us microphones at lunch so people could get on the mic and like freestyle and like beatbox.
Dude,
and all us girls.
Only in Brooklyn. Only in Brooklyn.
Yeah. And like we would dance and stuff. It was just like very free and very loud and spicy. And I'm so grateful to have grown up like that.
Absolutely. There's something super cool about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how it is now to grow up in Brooklyn, if it's still like that.
It's a whole different beast though now, right? Because it's like
I don't
like
know
Williamsburg,
what it's like.
and I mean I don't know. Yeah.
Like my neighborhood that I grew up in, I know that it's very dangerous now. Like I haven't been there in years, but I know that It's not like the safest place. It wasn't. I mean, my high school had metal detectors and like there were fights after school. So I wasn't involved in any of that. Like I was just like friends with everyone. I'm like, I'm not fighting anyone.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was metal detectors and it was kind of scary. Like in high school, I remember like people smoking cigarettes and smoking weed in the hallway. And like teachers would be like, put it out. And they'd be like, fuck you. Make me. They'd be like,
God,
make me.
I would pee my pants.
Wow.
Yeah. I was not a tough kid and during like middle school and high school, like shit like that. I mean, we had, honestly, like we come from, such a different world.
Yeah.
I had one black person in my high school.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was it. That's all the culture I got.
Yeah.
Did you have, how was your, like, high school?
How was your
like?
high school?
Yeah, so
Or just growing up, like...
Yeah, so thankfully, like, I split time between California because, my parents divorced really early on, too, so I was raised by just my mom as well.
How old were you?
And my grandma, but she didn't live with us.
Oh.
I was 2 when they split up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I was born in California, Mission Viejo, and then we lived in Phoenix, Arizona for a while, and then also Oregon. So Westland, Oregon, where I spent the most of my time, is super whitewashed. Same thing. I only got
really?
I had like one black person there, but when I was in 7th grade, I used to play basketball, and my mom would send me out to North Carolina to basketball camp out there to go to the UNC Tar Heels basketball camp. So I got a lot of exposure from like an early age down there, and I loved coming to the South like around that time just to be around all of that because the shit talking on the basketball court and all that stuff. And I was like, so I would go back to Oregon and have that.
And then what would that be like?
It would kind of sucked. It was stale and bullshit.
Really?
I couldn't. I mean, Oregon was just never my place. I mean, it's beautiful, topographically, but
when did you leave Oregon?
Not until 2015.
Oh wow, 2015.
Wait, sorry, no, earlier than that, 2013.
I wonder always where you got kind of your hip hop vibe because you two know a lot of this. You guys have always talked because you knew a lot of the same old like groups and stuff. I had no idea about. I was never exposed to it, so you got it from kind of the California.
California, Arizona, also North Carolina a little bit, which was like a completely different kind of era of hip hop. But yeah, I was always I like that we went down that. Hip hop kind of like made me grow up, right? Because I didn't have like a tough male figure in my house, so I was kind of lost in like the leadership wise. So I was really drawn to like that hyper masculine, like the swag of hip hop.
Yeah.
It was just fucking super cool. I remember when we were living in Phoenix. There was more ethnicity in Phoenix definitely than there was in Oregon, and it was right around the time that first Bone Thugs cassette tape came out, and there was a kid, I still remember his name. His name was Jamal. We snuck around back. He's like, dude, you got to hear this shit. And I remember the first time I heard Busy Bone, I was like, this is the dopest shit I have ever seen.
Yes.
Yo, man, Cleveland right there.
Oh yeah, they're from Cleveland. That's right.
Represent.
So I loved all of that. But but then my dad lived in Huntington Beach and my grandma lived in Riverside, California.
Oh wow.
So Huntington Beach is like known for like its metal scene. That's where Avenged Sevenfold is from and stuff like that. And then Riverside has a lot of like the more like Latino hip hop scene and stuff. Especially around that time, it was starting to get pretty bad with like Mexican gangs and stuff. But I was never exposed directly to it, but definitely like the music that was coming out of there. The friend group I had down there was kind of influenced by it.
Oh wow.
So I got to hear a lot of that. So then every time I went. So this is really funny. Not to like completely steal the conversation here, but so. Around that time, it was cool to have like the big ass Dickies shorts, with like the black ones and the khaki ones, and then I had like the skate shoes with the knee high socks going up. So if you looked at me, it was like the big ass shorts with like the socks that fully covered your legs, and then the cutoff tee. That was the shit down in Riverside and Huntington Beach. I went back up to Oregon, and I'm like the only person that looked like that, but I loved it because I was like,
did people say anything like, "What the hell are you doing?"
Yeah, totally. I was completely outcast. Yeah, that's why playing drums and punk rock bands and all that stuff. I was the only kid walking around looking like that with
thug.
part thug,
Thug or
part
like
punk
Blink
rock.
182.
Totally, yeah, 'cause
That's
was-
like Blink 182 style.
No,
kind
it's
It
of.
is,
that's
yeah.
very true. Yeah.
It is, and when you go down to Southern California, like Orange County, Huntington Beach area, everyone dresses like that. It's not like
Yeah,
people are.
it's
You're
the
not.
norm.
Yeah, you're not looking like an alien at all. I
Yeah.
mean, that's just like that's the fucking cool vibe down there. But yeah, going back to Oregon, where it's all fucking preppy Abercrombie shit, I was like, I
You
can't wait
stuck
to get
out
out
like
of here.
a sore thumb.
Absolutely, but I kind of got off on that a little bit too, if I'm being honest.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
but
man.
I
come
like
on,
the
be
Stand
you.
out.
Be
Yeah.
Standing
you.
out.
totally. But
That's so funny.
yeah, so that's where all that came from. So
Wow.
we definitely have that in common.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
So hip hop Brooklyn, I mean, your introduction to
Hip-hop.
music, what was the flavor out there like?
Well, like my mom was like always big into music, so we had like 45s and like a record player, you know.
That's awesome. Yeah.
But she listened to everything. But she was very much into like Billy Ocean and like Luther Vandross and then like Donna Summer.
Oh yeah.
She was into all that. But my friends at school introduced me to like LL Cool J, Run DMC, Beastie Boys, you know, like Slick Rick, you know.
yeah.
But then also cheesy pop. I've always been a lover of cheesy pop music as well, like New Kids on the Block.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know, that was like,
It all works together.
Yeah.
Though. Yeah. No
but
shame
yeah,
about
hip
it.
hop is like huge still to this day. I mean, I'm not too into a lot of the new hip hop.
Right. Well, especially if you're spoiled, like
Yeah.
in like the hip hop
Yeah.
heydays, growing
Yeah.
up in the middle of it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
gold-
I could
the
never
And
get
it
over
wasn't
that.
even, it wasn't
Yeah.
even called hip hop then. It was called rap.
Yeah,
It
right.
was
Yeah.
rap. It wasn't hip hop yet. They
When
didn't
did
call it
hip hop
that.
Right,
Like
yeah.
when did hip hop kind of become
I don't know when they started calling it hip hop, but I know in the 80s, like everybody's like, oh, rap music.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
It was like the 90s, I think hip hop
Yeah, I
started
think-
to come into play.
Yeah.
But I remember being a kid, it was rap. We always just called it rap.
Yeah. Me too.
But also like Madonna, you know, when I was growing up, like Madonna had just come out, Prince, Michael Jackson,
Yeah.
all that as well. I mean,
Yeah.
all the icons. Come on.
I mean,
know.
that's just such a
It's the
man.
best-
those
it's a great time to
80s.
grow up.
Plus,
The
and
80s.
then you had the hair metal stuff.
Hair
And when
bands.
rock was God.
I was into. I mean, back then, like especially 80s and 90s.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all the genres of music were just great. It was undeniable.
Well, you actually
Totally.
had genres too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, not really as today. It's like pop, hip hop, country. I don't know what else there is after that.
Yeah, there's not much.
There's not
rock,
much.
right? Like there's
Rock
not
is
much.
still happening, and I still love it. And some of the new stuff I do dig. But I mean, the 80s, though, I mean, it just seemed like all the different genres were on top.
Oh, totally.
Because I know you love like GNR.
Oh my
and
gosh, I
then
love
went
Guns N'
from
Roses.
GNR to like Biggie. I mean, come
Yeah,
on,
I
Biggie.
know,
Biggie,
I know,
Yeah,
Biggie was Brooklyn.
Exactly. It's like Biggie and then Bon Jovi. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, or New Kids on the Block, you know, like, but that's just how you grew up back then. Like, you grew up with every kind of genre.
Speaking of Biggie, does
Yeah.
it drive you fucking insane to see that "Spread Love"? It's the Nashville way shirt.
Oh
when
my
that's
God,
a
it
fuck-
drives
That's a Biggie
me.
quote, dude.
I know. Spread
Yeah,
love.
it's the
That's not
Brooklyn
that's,
way.
Yeah.
Man,
Not
wait a
Nashville
minute.
way.
I didn't even know this.
Oh my God. So,
Yeah.
I think Mike has a T-shirt that says it.
He does.
Yeah, that
Is
Project
he an idiot?
that
What
Project
happened?
615 shirt that says
Yeah.
"Spread Love" is the Nashville way. That is a complete fucking cop out, dude.
It's a rip.
So what's
Yeah.
what's the rip?
It's from a Biggie song.
Biggie.
"Spread Love." It's
It's
the
the
Brooklyn
Brooklyn
way.
Nashville. Get original.
I
It
know.
makes me
Come
very
on.
heated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, every time I've always wanted to ask you that. I'm glad we did it while we're live here because I'm
Yeah.
like, that's gotta piss like hardcore Biggie fans off, especially
Totally.
if you're from there. So yeah.
Don't do it.
And my one Biggie thing, you call him Biggie, like that's his first name, like you've
Biggie.
known him for years. when in Ohio we called him Notorious B.I.G.
Oh my God.
Now was that that sounds
Super
so white. It's so white. Yeah, Notorious B.I.G. But it's just Biggie, right? Just
Notor-
It's just
Notorious-
Biggie.
Just Biggie. Where'd the Biggie Smalls thing come in from?
Yeah,
Biggie
what's about
Smalls is
that?
the illest. That's from one of the songs.
That's just from one of the
Biggie
songs.
Biggie
Okay.
Smalls is
Just
the
the
illest.
Yep.
And now, where do we stand with Puff Daddy now? Is it Puff Daddy? Is it
It's
Sean
Diddy.
Combs? Is it P. Diddy? Is it just
Yeah, I like
Diddy?
Diddy
You know,
the
he
best.
wanted to call himself Love.
That's
Change
hilarious.
it again to Love.
If there's one person that can do it,
But
if,
he- no,
if
they
Prince
he
can
couldn't.
turn his name into a symbol, then
Diddy.
Diddy
No,
can
he
say
tried
Love.
to call himself Love, but
no, Brother
somebody-
Love.
Brother
It was
Love.
Brother
But
Love.
isn't there like a wrestler or something?
Yeah, there was a wrestler.
That was like, no, I'm going
They
to sue
wanted to
you
sue
if you
him,
do
yeah.
it or something. It's, who knows?
No.
Diddy it is. Diddy.
All right.
And
Diddley.
he
I'm
is
glad
a
we
mere
talked
mortal.
about that.
Yeah.
I was really confused. Notorious Big.
Oh my God.
We even had people that called him Notorious Big.
Wow.
And I knew that was incorrect.
Oh, that's the
Problems.
Notorious Big guy.
Yeah, hey, you
Good for
guys
you.
know any Notorious Big? Some hypnotized. So in the lunchroom, you're getting thrown out with like beatbox and rappers and
yeah.
like dancing. So that's kind of interesting. Like, when did you start like kind of getting into your own music? Like,
Oh, I was
discovering-
like 5 years old. Are you kidding? My mother would have her friends come over and I'd come out and do my little like sing and dance routine. Yeah, but when I started to, I mean, that was like kind of corny. I was 5 years old coming out my bodysuit singing like Barbra Streisand or something.
Hey,
Hey, it's
Yeah.
something.
gotta start somewhere.
Performers got to perform,
Babs.
But when I really had a passion for music, it was like Madonna, Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson. That's when I started like teaching myself dance routines, and like I used to watch Dance Party USA. You guys probably don't know that.
man. No.
Dance Party USA, Kelly Ripa, that's like she started on that show, but it was like a New Jersey local dance show
Oh, nice.
that we got in Brooklyn too. So I would come home from school and watch it and teach myself all the dance moves. And I was like always obsessed with learning all of the lyrics to songs that I liked.
Nice.
Like I would sit back then, you had to like wait for your favorite song to come on, tape record it,
Oh,
and then like
Transcribe
keep,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
keep
Yeah.
rewinding it, which took forever because you'd have to hit the rewind button on the
Yeah.
boombox.
oh my
And I would
gosh.
write down all the lyrics and then just like keep listening to the song until I got all of the lyrics. I was
Nice.
obsessed.
And then you
I was-
memorize them and perform?
I would memorize. All my girlfriends would be like, "Sing that song," because I guess I kind of I didn't know, but I guess I kind of had a decent voice.
Yeah.
So I'd go over my girlfriend's house and they would make me sing all the songs, teach them the dance moves.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then you wanted to, take it to the next level and like you maybe become like an artist, or did you?
Not when I was a kid. Like I used to be in like talent shows and stuff, or like we would like make corny videos after school. We would set up a camera, like an actual video camera, and then like videotape ourselves singing and dancing. But I never thought that could be something you can do as a living, because nobody I grew up with did that. Like all the adults that I grew up around, like they just worked, like they were like, worked for the transit, or they were bus drivers, or they had city jobs, like no one ever had a job that they loved. Like no one seemed to
Yeah.
love what they did. They just did it to pay the bills. They didn't believe in dreams. So I was just like, I was like, other people are doing it. Like, how come these people are on TV and they look happy and they're like rich and living their dreams? Like, how do I get to do that?
And like, and no one around you was encouraging
No,
you.
they'd be
or
like, you
even
don't. They'd be like,
making
you
feel
don't. That's
yeah.
like fake land. Like that's like fantasy world. That doesn't exist.
Wow.
Wow.
know?
Interesting. So that got you started on the path to like
Yeah,
getting
and I
even
was
more
like-
curious about.
Exactly.
How
I
to
was
do
like,
that,
why? No, if they're doing it, why can't I? Like, how does that become real life?
Yeah.
You know?
So what was like? I mean that's so crazy because like. Yeah, you're right. Everyone's working. I know, like in the Italian culture, it's like go out, get a job,
Oh,
and then,
totally.
And then, come home at a decent time, eat dinner, do the same, repeat.
And
So-
the thing is, even though like my mother and my grandmother, they were like independent women, they'd always be like, "Oh, you'll get a nice office job and you'll meet a nice guy and he'll take care of you," which made no sense because they were like independent women who didn't have men,
Yeah.
and they were
Interesting.
like taking care of themselves. But for me, they were like, "Oh, you could just meet a nice boy and get married." I'm like, no,
Huh. Almost
I
as just like a
wanna-
knee-jerk comment because they feel like that's what
Yeah.
they were supposed to say.
That's because that's like what
Yeah.
you're supposed to do. You're supposed to get married and have kids and just have like maybe like a little part-time job,
Yeah.
So this like fueled you, and you're just like, fuck this. Like,
yeah, I'm like, no,
mean,
I want to be like, maybe I'll leave New York one day. Maybe, I want to be rich and like find something that I love to do, because none of you love what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're just working to work. What kind of life is that?
Right.
Even though I was a kid, like I would think these things. I know that's weird because like you're not supposed to think these things when you're a kid, but I think when you come from divorced parents, you can't completely be a kid.
Right.
Do you feel like that? Like,
yeah, 100%.
you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you're always thinking,
Totally.
and
You have a lot of time to think too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not, you're not at ease because, you probably pick up on like your mother being sick, like maybe you're picking up on her signals or whatever, but
Yeah.
you can't just completely be a kid when you have divorced parents.
No, totally. And I think you and I have that in common too, because it sounds like your mom was coming up in her career through your formative years, just like my
And
mom
yours
was too.
too.
So I absorbed all that stress of her climbing the ladder, and like, so we were up at a certain time. It was no bullshit. It was like, if it's time to go in the morning, like I am not going to be the one to make her late. Like she made that clear, right? So there's a lot of like, that type of like militant structure.
Yeah, you have to be grown up faster.
Absolutely, because you can't be the dead weight. Like, this is survival mode.
Yeah.
We got to fucking make this happen.
That's true.
So it's pretty crazy. I didn't realize.
But don't you think that this is true too? Because I kind of feel like this about you. But because you had to grow up, be like an adult at such a young age, like you kind of also have a piece of you who still is like childlike.
Totally.
Because you want to hold on to that.
Yeah, and it's part of it's almost like a protective shell in a way that is like that's even more strengthened because you had that to rely on that whole time growing up. It was like
exactly.
Yeah, I think it can be formed even more strongly. That's not the way I want to say it, but it can be fortified because you come to rely on it for your own survival in that time. So I definitely think it sharpens the imagination.
Definitely.
Looking back, I wouldn't trade it. I really wouldn't trade
either.
it.
Neither would I.
Well, remember, and this is a line from your book, you said, because of the way you were kind of brought up and everything around you, you said, I was never interested in fairy tales because I never knew anybody that was basically the princess getting saved by the prince.
Yeah, I hated. I never watched all the typical Disney movies because I couldn't relate to it.
But what I love that you said was that you were too busy thinking about how you could own your own castle.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that's great. That's a beautiful thing. That's what you guys are talking about. When you have all that time to kind of think and you're growing up, you guys definitely grew up a lot faster, I think, than I did. So that's I just that line really stuck out to me.
Yeah, because like most people grow up with married parents and like that's their example of like love and like, but like me and you didn't have that. Like when you don't grow up with married parents and you don't have like an image of like a love. I was like, oh, love is just like in the movies or like music, like love songs, and like none of the Disney movies. I know I probably should have watched them like as like to escape, but I was like, who cares? I don't care about that. I want to be like the one who owns the castle and saves my whole family. Like I don't want to be Little Mermaid singing around like feeling sorry, waiting for my prince to come. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
I just was like, it's not relatable.
No, that's awesome. And I think a lot of growing up that way too leads to like not I don't want to say issues, but like you're very concerned with empowerment, right? Because sometimes you feel like out of alignment with your own empowerment because you are so much pressure is put on you to make this other person's life go smoothly.
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense that you would feel that way because you want to be personally empowered because you lack that in your personal life.
So true.
Yeah. So throughout this time, like I kind of want to loop back to your grandma a little bit here because you said the saying that the book is based off of. You said that made you feel empowered to use that word that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, I mean, she didn't say it when I was like 5.
Right. Yeah.
She said it when I was like old enough to know the F word.
Yeah.
But she taught me other things before the whole fuck them all saying came into play. She taught me like strength and like if I was ever sick, forget it. She would be like, oh, you have a hole up your ass. That's what she was. And I was like 7 years old trying to get out of school.
She wouldn't let you feel sorry for yourself.
No, she would be like, you're not sick. Like, and if you are sick, you have to get up anyway because you need to toughen up. Like, what do you have a cold? Like give me a break. This
That's
is
that
like,
old school
yeah,
love, man. Oh yeah,
Totally.
I don't even think it's
Which
so
I
funny.
appreciate.
Dude,
that.
I know, me too. I miss that shit.
I know.
I want to bring it
It
back.
don't exist.
please
It don't
do.
exist today. I
No,
swear to God,
your
everyone's
kids will
so
call the
fragile and
police.
gentle with everybody.
Dude, and that's bullshit, man.
It
You can't
is.
fucking have a real conversation with anyone when you're like that.
No.
Plus, how do you pull your weight, man? The slightest
Exactly.
inkling of. I was thinking about that today too. I really want to get both of your opinions on this.
Yeah.
Like the fucking just the whole concept of like entitled to pleasurable moments, like strung along continuously is just fucking ridiculous. Like, and I think maybe it's the 75 hard talking, but like you're not entitled to feel fucking good all the time. In
No.
fact, most of the
No.
time it's gonna feel fucking not great.
You need to feel not great,
Yes.
so you can feel good.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I
You
think.
need to
Yeah.
lose to know how to win,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Now
Right.
everybody gets like, who said, one of the comedians said like, everyone gets a prize when there's a contest. No,
Fuck no, dude.
No.
I'm
somebody's
slapping
got to
that.
lose.
You gotta
Yeah.
you gotta learn how to lose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what makes you a great champion later on. It's how you
don't
deal
lo-
with
yeah,
defeat.
If you don't lose, you'll never win because you'll never know like the desire of wanting to win. Does
Oh
it
my
make
gosh,
sense?
these like participation awards and like, hey, you did okay kind of thing. No, when we were growing up, you were first, you were second, or you were third,
And
and then
that's
there was
it.
then you didn't exist.
And you didn't
Right.
cry. Too bad. No, you're
No,
not crying.
it made you work harder and train harder in the off season to go be a better baseball player or to go
Exactly.
be a better. For me, it was like tennis. It's like when I wasn't winning tournaments, like. My dad didn't say, you had a good try. Like, he'd be like, no, what could we work on? And you
Yeah.
got to get better. You got to get better.
Exactly.
You gave me that tough love, too. And
Yeah.
I think that is so
Tough love is
needed.
great.
Yeah. And especially like your grandma, I mean, that was even more old school.
She was really
You didn't
old
put up
school.
with shit.
No, and like my grandmother only went to school up till the 8th grade.
No way.
Yeah, because like when she was growing, she had immigrant parents, and like when she was growing up, people didn't care. Like you just worked, like you worked hard.
Yeah.
You didn't have to go like to college or like she had to take care of her brothers and sisters, so she couldn't go to school past the 8th grade.
Yeah.
She was just like,
God, that's unbelievable. Man.
yeah, isn't that
Yeah.
crazy?
Yeah.
And did her parents speak any English?
Her father spoke English, but her mother didn't speak English at all. But her father spoke it well. Like he knew how to speak English.
And did grandma speak really good Italian?
She did, but she never taught like her kids or us because like Italian people are nuts. But she didn't want her kids to know what her and her husband were saying, so they just didn't teach the kids Italian.
Oh, smart.
They could talk
Yeah.
in secret, private.
But I wish she would have taught me.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah.
Well, Kev's got a daughter.
Yeah.
And another one on the way.
Yes.
And no, I'm glad that we're having that conversation because
Yeah.
what grandma was showing with all that tough love, I mean, you're saying you're a fan of that. Like you want to embrace
Yeah.
that.
Oh yeah, I'm a huge fan of that already. Like, I mean,
do you
just
practice it now? Like, what do you do?
Yeah, it's just ingrained in me. I like so I'll let her have her moment for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Once it hits like the 30-second to a minute and a half mark, I go enough. Like we're done with this.
Oh,
like,
what does she do?
I was like, well, I'll say like, hey, I acknowledge that you're feeling frustrated right now,
Mm-hmm.
but you've let it out, and now we got to move on from it. So let's put our attention over here and think about how we can both help each other get to what we want right now.
Wow, I love
Right?
that.
So I over explain things, and I'll get down on my knees and like look at her straight in the eyes.
Wow.
And like change the tone and stuff like that. I want her to get used to that.
Mm-hmm.
So but I also want to. I'm completely present in those moments and say, okay, explain yourself, explain why we're saying this. And so, and then I'm also, because I want her to have that dialogue built in her head
Mm-hmm.
to where she's like, okay, I'm in trouble right now, but I know a good explanation is coming and I'm going to learn from this.
Wow.
So if we establish that pattern early on, I'm hoping, it just leads to just a better, just a tougher mindset as she grows up, and just will allow her to deal with life situations better.
Did you like come up with this yourself? Did you read about like doing this, or like how did you come up with it?
Kind of. So I'm curious if you thought of this too. Did you ever like make mental notes of all the mistakes your mom made and just like keep it in the back of your mind? You're like, I'm definitely not going to do that shit. Definitely not going to do that either. I was like, I would have done that better. Maybe it's just me because I'm super nitpicky like that. But
Yeah.
for some reason, when I became a dad, all that stuff was just front of my mind, and I was like,
Wow.
okay, what do I know my mom did right? What did
Like
she
what
do
worked?
wrong? Yeah. And then how can I like apply my own style, my own
Wow.
personality to that? I was like, well, I definitely don't want to be walked on when she turns 13, 14. So I'm going to set the ground rules
Serious.
now. But I also want there to be like really strong trust and mutual respect. So that's why, I think it's important to like definitely, get stern with the voice, but then also explain what's going on.
Yeah,
and
because your mom, I'm sure like your mother probably just yelled at you and didn't.
Totally,
just,
zero
like,
explanation.
walked away.
Yeah.
like
Left you in the dark. Like
totally
what?
slap to the head, yell, like
Yeah.
like freak out, and then just walked away.
No
It's like, what the
explanation.
fuck was that? And then
Yeah.
so that led to me being a fucking master liar, which I hate to admit.
You?
Yeah.
Wow.
Just with her, because I was like, I know exactly what to say
Wow.
to keep this fucking situation under control, and so I'm gonna fabricate it, and it worked every fucking time.
Oh
I'm
my
like, that
God.
sucks.
Yeah.
But sorry if you listen to this, but but that's not what I want to establish.
Yeah.
In my family, and I think that's important too. Like you can't go the other direction and just be so strong of an enforcer that people don't trust you at all or don't want to talk to you.
That's
Gotta have
very
that balance
true.
where they
Yeah.
know, like, yeah, I'm maybe in trouble a little bit, but I know that there's going to be a fair explanation, and then I'm going to be heard and seen.
Wow, you need to like write a book about this or something. Like your own
Yeah.
parenting. I mean, you basically came up with this yourself.
Well, I've read some good books too. There's some good stuff out there that kind of touches on that same thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe.
Yeah, seriously,
yeah.
that's great. I've never heard of like. I mean, that's good parenting.
I hope
Most
so.
people
yeah.
would because most people would just like repeat the
Repeat
same
the
pattern.
patterns. Yeah,
Yeah.
that I know
That
for
seems
sure.
to be a trend.
It is,
That I know for sure cannot happen.
but you're aware, so you would never repeat it. But still, like there are people out there who are not aware of it, and they just repeat the same thing.
Yeah, I was scared of that for sure. I got into therapy on purpose before Penelope was born, before our daughter was born, and
That's smart.
and to be like, and I literally sat down. And I was like, "Hey, man, here's everything that happened. I'm really scared that I'm going to repeat the same thing. So let's do whatever you got to do to
Wow.
like untie that shit
Yeah.
and get
What
it
is
out
that's
of
a
it,
smart move.
Very
Very
smart.
smart move.
I commend you.
Yeah. Yeah, and so grandma, so you didn't have really a father figure. This woman is
No,
actually
I mean
showing you
my dad. I love my dad. You guys know my dad. He was
Yeah.
there on and off, but it wasn't consistent enough to to mold me or like
Right.
teach me things.
there wasn't
on
like
a
a
daily
concrete
basis.
structure
Right.
of
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like we're talking about there, to like, yeah, because it gives you like some comfort that what you're going through is normal, and it's okay to have like big feelings about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank God for her because she really was like my father. And she, like she spoiled us like a father would spoil their daughter. She would buy us stuff, take us to eat, take us shopping, all of that. And she taught me all the stuff. Like if I would cry, she'd be like, "Oh, stop crying, toughen up." Like she wasn't mean at all. She was just
Yeah.
trying to teach me how to be strong and
Right.
like persevere.
Yeah, that old school love.
Right.
And when she's telling
Yeah.
you you're not sick, she's like, "Look, I know what sick looks like. You're not sick."
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
and if she was ever sick, you would never know it because she would just pull through it. Which I still like. I'm still like that to this day.
Yeah.
I barely ever get sick.
Yeah.
If I get sick, it's like once, maybe every 2 years.
Yeah.
Because I have that mentality. I do believe that though, like power of the mind type stuff.
Yeah,
I totally
me too.
agree with
You
that.
can
Absolutely.
you can talk yourself out of being sick, unless it's something like something you can't control. Like
Right, unless it's serious.
Yeah.
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 I was reading that Louise Hay book,
Oh,
and
I
she's
love
talking
her.
about how she went through cancer and the power of the mind, where basically what was the thing? I mean, she basically she got through it,
yeah,
but told herself, "I'm not sick. I'm healthy. I'm gonna beat this." It was just all power of the mind, and didn't let it, because she didn't let negativity in. She didn't let any bad energy, nothing like that. She didn't even tell anybody she had cancer, because she didn't even want to let it affect anybody else. I mean that's a strong woman.
I love that
Yeah.
woman. Her book, You Can Heal Your Life, she talks about like
Amazing.
she's helped people like heal like HIV, like things that are like, I mean, or have it under control. But yeah, she's helped
With
people
the power
cure
of the mind
cancer.
and your thoughts. Yeah.
It's very true.
Yeah,
Power of your mind is very strong.
that's amazing.
definitely have learned that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So let's go. Okay, so you're through. Did you go to college? Sorry,
I did not go to college.
All right, so you're through high school.
I did not graduate high school. I got my GED.
No way.
I
Okay,
did.
what happened throughout that time?
So I went to school. I went to Canarsie High School, and then my mom got engaged to this man that we loved, who was very much like a father to me. And they decided that we were going to move to Long Island because it was like better schooling and it was safer. And so we moved there, and I hated going to high school there because there was no culture. Like, it was very like vanilla.
Yeah.
Nobody liked me. I got made fun of all the time.
Oh no.
Yeah, people would make fun of me. They started a rumor that I had a gun in my locker, and like, because Brooklyn and Long
Brooklyn.
Yeah, Brooklyn and
Yeah.
Long Island are very different.
Totally.
And I'm not trying to bash Long Island because I do have like family from there, but it wasn't a great experience for me. And throughout high school, my last 2 years of high school, my stepfather, who was very close to me, who was like my father, became like verbally abusive to me.
Wow.
My sister had moved out. My sister like moved in with a boyfriend. She was older. My mom was working a lot. Whenever he was home, he would just be like, "Oh, you're a loser. You're never going to be anything." Like, because at that point, I was like really singing and dancing, and like, I was like, maybe this is something I can do. Like, maybe I could be like a pop star or something. You know,
Yeah.
I was like,
Right.
because I didn't want to go to college. I never had the desire to go to college. I never was like, oh, I want to be a doctor or a lawyer or any, like, it just didn't interest me.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to be in entertainment. So he would like come home from work and be like, oh, you're a loser. You're never going to be anything. Long story short, my mother and his relationship was like deteriorating. She thought like maybe he was cheating or something. Big explosion. I won't go into the whole story, but they broke up, and I only had 2 months left of high school, and I couldn't finish high school because we moved out of Long Island back to Queens. So if I would have went to high school there, I would have had to start all over again. Like, I would have been left back. So I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to get my GED and get a job, and then I'll figure out what I want to do with my life. So I couldn't finish high school, but I didn't. The first year that I went to school in Long Island, after a few months, I begged my mother, please, I hate this school. I'm being made fun of. I'm like really depressed. Can I just get my GED? And she was like, no, you have to finish high school. So ironically, I never did finish high school because I couldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when we moved to Queens, I got a job at like a pizzeria as a hostess, like cashier girl. And I was like, I know the answers will come. I know I will figure out like, what am I supposed to be doing? Like, what is my career choice going to be? Because I had no idea. And no one ever really guided me. Like, no one ever asked me, like, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
You know, it's so crazy because, you were saying earlier, like, you came from a place where no one really had dreams. You just got jobs. And then you find this guy who's kind of structured in your life for a little bit at the time. And then now he's telling you you're a loser. You can't do something.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like no support. And like,
No support,
how are you
and
getting through?
like no male figure ever was like consistent.
Yeah. So that had to fuck with your trust.
Oh my God, big time. Like
Yeah.
after,
and your mind too.
Oh, totally. Because I was like, why do all these men, like, why are they so inconsistent? But we did find out he was cheating on my mother. And so, like, that even crushed me even more. Because I'm like, oh, love does not exist. Like, relationships are horrible. Like, there's no good
That makes
relationships out there, you know? Like,
Yeah.
so it messed with me as like a young adult. When I started dating, I just was like, I did not trust guys at all.
Yeah.
I was like promiscuous and all over the place.
So you went through kind of like a dark time.
Oh, totally a dark time. I totally went through a dark time. I was very depressed, and I was like, I just started drinking and smoking weed and doing drugs and staying out late. I wouldn't come home till like 7:00 in the morning, and my mom would just like cry and be like, what the hell are you doing with your life? I'm like, I have no idea what the hell I'm doing with my life.
Yeah. Why don't we talk
But
about
I,
it?
you know, like I
yeah.
didn't even care to pull myself out of the darkness. I just the only thing I wanted to do was like look hot.
Right.
Like I was like, I'm gonna be hot and get all these boys, and I'm gonna abuse them and just
and do that for a living for the rest of my life. So what was the turnaround? I mean, coming from that dark place.
Okay, I was in a very dark place. I was doing all this stupid bullshit, going to clubs, wearing skimpy clothes. My sister had come back. She broke up with the boyfriend she was living with and came back and lived with me and my mother. And she just somehow got through to me. She was like, you need to turn your life around and like read a book and figure out like what are you going to do with your life. You can't keep going out to clubs and drinking and doing drugs. Like it's not going to benefit you. You need to like start hanging out with positive people, read something, do positive things, do like meditate. And I was like, what the fuck is this girl? This is terrible. Like, you're so corny. I'm like, this is corny. What? And then finally one day I was like, maybe I should listen to her and try, like turn my life around. And I did. Like, she gave me all these self-help books like Louise Hay and like this lady, Iyanla Van Sant. And like, she taught me how to meditate. And she knew that I wanted to sing. And so she was like, you need to sing. Like, you have a great voice. Like, maybe we should be a group. Like, maybe we should be like a duo. And that's what we did. And then like, I totally turned my life around at that point.
So for the first time, you kind of have somebody who's...
Yeah, my sister.
Yeah, who's giving you a positive light and saying, well, maybe you can do that thing that you've been wanting to do.
Yeah, she was like, do it.
Yeah, so what was your sister doing during that time that you were going through that dark moment? Was the boyfriend she lived with, was that like going well?
Yeah, like, like that was going well. I mean, she was young. She was like not even 20, I think. No, I'm sorry. She was like in her mid-20s. But the guy just didn't wind up...
I got you.
Like being for her, but she was going to performing arts school and she was like auditioning for like Broadway plays. Like she was taking acting class and like vocal lessons, so she was like very big into wanting to be in the entertainment business. So she was like, it is possible, you can do it, people do it for a living, why not just try and do it?
Yeah.
And like, we'll do it together. So that's what we did. Yeah. We formed a duo.
And what was that duo called?
It was called Elan. E-L-A-N. Elan. It meant like soulful spirit. But we had a cousin who was involved in the music business, and we recorded a demo, and he was like, I'll be your manager and I'll bring you to the studio. I'll pay for studio time. And he did. He like introduced us to the world of like recording and writing songs, and wow. We did that for a while, and then he fell in love with a stripper and quit.
Wow. Oh my gosh. And what was that stripper's name?
No, I'm not going to say her
I'm
name.
just kidding.
But anyway, yeah. So another inconsistent man. Here we go. But yeah, so he quit.
Starting to see this.
And,
there's a pattern.
We still kept singing, and we managed to get ourselves like a really big manager. He was the vice president of Island Def Jam.
No way.
Yeah, and so we were like very close to being on the verge of being like the next pop sensation.
Yeah, and that was the time. What happened? It just didn't hit.
Well, so the manager, he was he was the vice president of Island Def Jam, and he worked with us for like a few years. He paid for all of our demos and performances and all that, but he was like, I don't want to sign you because at the time you had to get like your own fan base. You had to have proof of like a following. That was like starting to happen. So he's like, we should get you an independent record deal.
Okay.
And then get a big following, and then I can sign you to like a big deal.
Shop for a bigger label.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So that's what we did, but he wound up like procrastinating. It was just like he just wasn't doing what he was supposed to, and we did find an independent label.
Yeah.
That we got signed to, and they wanted us to get rid of him, so we did. I know it's kind of weird, but we were just like, bye. You didn't do anything. It's 2 years later, and we want to keep moving on. So we signed to this independent label, and we moved to Kansas for 6 months to record an album.
Wow.
And we did. We recorded an album. I know, that's crazy.
That's awesome.
The Kansas recording studios are elite.
Lawrence, Kansas.
Wow. Kansas.
But it was because it was the World Trade Center had happened.
Oh, yeah.
And the label was like, we don't want to come to New York. Like, Do you want to get out of New York? And we were like,
Yeah,
yes,
that was a
because it was
sticky
like a weird time.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and we had like Tech Nine. Do you know who that is?
Yeah, absolutely.
He's like on one of our songs. He was on one of our songs.
What? That's
Yeah.
awesome. I love Tech Nine.
Nothing ever came of the
Yeah,
album.
he's playing Bonnaroo or Pilgrimage or one of those.
Recently?
He's still touring, yeah.
He does, right? He
He's
comes.
on
He
one of those
comes
big
here.
ones. Yeah.
But yeah, nothing ever came of the album, and then we parted ways. And my sister started doing rock music. I started doing like R&B. But yeah, I was doing music for years, and then I moved to Nashville in hopes of doing music, and that did not happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was
I
that
just was
like?
Take us through that journey.
Fuck
Yeah,
this.
take us to coming. I mean, from Brooklyn to Long Island,
From
living
Brooklyn
in
to Long
Kansas
Island, then to
Nashville.
Kansas to Nashville. I was tired of the music business because, like, as a woman, it's just fucking. I'm not trying to feel sorry for myself, but I found myself in situations where a lot of the people I worked with, like, tried to like have sex with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's
Or tried to like
It's a
hit
real
on me,
thing.
and I was like, "Come on,
Again.
fucking
Yeah.
tired of this
Yo,
bullshit."
girl, I'm gonna make you a star. Just come sit on my lap.
And then
Yeah,
when
but-
I came to Nashville, I was like,
Try to
"Fuck
Harvey
this."
Weinstein you a little
Yeah,
bit.
you got
That's
Weinstein.
crazy, dude. Shit's fucked up, man.
I remember one producer. It was like I'll tell you, not on the mic, but he was like a big songwriter that we worked with, and we worked with him in his house, and his wife was upstairs with his son, and like he's trying to freaking fool around with me. I was like, get the hell out of here.
Shameless.
Dude, that's ridiculous.
So I was just tired of
Though
it.
not
Once
surprising.
I know,
Never
right?
date a guy in music. Those musicians.
Wow, that's what I told myself. Now I married one.
But you can marry one. You just can't date him.
But yeah, then once I came to Nashville, I was like, maybe I'll still do music. And then I was like, fuck this. Because you guys
Yeah.
know, when you live in Nashville, everyone is trying to be an artist, so nobody comes to see you perform. They don't care.
Right.
Oh yeah, it's one of the worst places to play.
Yeah,
Nashville.
and I just was
Yeah,
like,
I feel like it's
burnt.
gotten a little better, but when we first came here,
Oh, it
yeah, it was
definitely has
rough.
gotten
Yeah.
better because of all the tourists.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
But
it
when
definitely-
you came, so when you came and started doing music together, you said you had a hard time with people coming
Yeah,
to see you?
totally.
I mean, you'd promote and you get your friends. It's one of those like, I'll go to your show if you come to my show the next day, just to support kind of.
Where
thing.
did you perform? Like, what was like your first? What was your first?
12th and Porter a lot.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mercy Lounge.
Mm-hmm.
3rd and Lindsley.
Yeah. And then Riders Nights at the Commodore.
Riders Nights of the Commodore. That
is
was
that
the start.
In, one of the
In the
hotels?
Holiday Inn,
Oh
yeah.
Hey man, that's where we
Oh,
got our feet
wow.
wet.
It's not bad.
That was the birth.
Did
That
they
was the
still
birth of
do
it.
that?
The original listening room.
Yeah, the
Oh,
original listening room.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Oh yeah,
Wait, so it was just the two of you first,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
and then Why Not Be Kings? How long
Then
after?
Sean came in.
How long after you started together?
We played together
didn't take
for maybe not even a whole year
Yeah.
until
Oh,
Yeah, it happened pretty quick.
wow.
it was tough to get people to come to your shows. You're right. I think it is a little bit better now.
Yeah.
There's a lot more people here.
Mm-hmm.
But it's funny, like, when we went to like the CMA Fest and stuff, a lot of those acts, like, just they come down here for CMA and then that's it. And even we've had like Garrett on here who rarely plays in Nashville. Like though they might like play on Broadway and stuff, but they're not doing like independent shows and like one-offs at like 12th and Porter anymore. Like they're taking all their shit to the road.
Yeah, most people
because they
do.
know people will really appreciate it and get out to some of the country shows. And,
Yeah.
That's so sad. Like
yeah.
when I lived in New York and I would like my sister and I would perform, we would like pack it out.
That's
Oh
awesome.
yeah,
You know?
I think
Yeah.
when we were playing shows, it was probably easier if you did comedy and was say, "Hey, come out to my open mic comedy thing." You probably pack that place in because as long as it wasn't music, you know what I mean?
so
Like, but this is
terrible.
Music City. Like, what?
Yeah.
It's tough.
It is tough.
It's crazy.
Do you? Well, I mean, you perform now because you're in a band,
Mm-hmm.
which is awesome. Your band is amazing. By the way, I don't know if I have.
Shout out to
tell you
Stagger
that.
Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you did.
wow, what a great band.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel really honored to be a part of them.
That
They're
I mean,
crazy
the
good.
music is amazing.
It's wild to be a part of it. It's really
Wow.
fun. It's like it's made me a better player, just within the short time being there because you have to step up when you're around.
Oh my
Sound that
god,
sounds
it's like a
fun.
journey.
Yeah.
yeah.
There, it's like seriously,
great
what
mystic
a great
musical
band.
journey.
Thank you. Yeah, it's awesome. I'm really thankful to be a part of it.
Yeah, you should be. I enjoyed the show. It was great.
Good. That's awesome.
You do have an upcoming show if you want to plug it real
when
quick.
is it? When is it?
Oh, sure. Well, by the time this is released, it will have already happened. But
Oh.
it's tomorrow in Ashland City.
Ashland City?
Ashland City.
Oh, get out of here.
Yeah.
How far is that?
It's only like 25 minutes from here. It's not that bad.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, there's a place called the Venue out there, and this guy, I think his name is Owen Hicks who owns it, possibly. Sorry if I'm mistaken on that, but it's basically set up like an outdoor festival. It's on this guy's property, and it's like an outdoor stage, and you can camp there if you want. It's like a little mini Bonnaroo.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Wow.
But, yeah, so it's fun stuff. What Okay, so I don't want to.
Yeah,
I want to put the focus back on you.
Yeah.
Okay, so you came to Nashville. Didn't want to do music when you got here. Was that the
I
end
did
all
a
be all?
little.
Okay.
I did a little, because I started working at this like cabana,
Yeah.
and everybody I worked with was a singer songwriter, and they would put on singer songwriter nights that we would do at the Blue Bar. Do you remember Blue Bar?
I do remember Blue Bar.
There,
Home of the cocaine train.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I would. I'm like really oblivious to cocaine, and I'd go there, and I'd be like, "Where'd everybody go? Why do they keep going to the bathroom? Oh, well, they're doing cocaine."
There you go.
Blue Bar, and what was the other? French Quarter. That does not exist either in East Nashville.
I don't think
right.
you ever knew French Quarter.
No, I didn't.
That's
Okay.
when East Nashville was really
When I
like
first
way
moved here,
scary.
yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
But I did that for a little while, and then I got really big into like going out because Nashville was such like a friendly city
Yeah.
that I got distracted a little bit.
Sure.
Oh, it's easy.
But also
yeah.
then I was forced to act in a 48-hour film festival. Like this guy, a friend of a friend basically needed New York accent, like people with New York accents.
Oh, nice.
And they recommended me. I was like, I don't want to act. Like, no, I'm terrible at acting. And then I did, and I like kind of fell in love with acting. And my sister and I started doing this Brooklyn Hippies comedy sketch show that we created.
Nice.
Oh,
Did
yeah.
that get some traction?
It did. Like people around Nashville were like, oh, like they thought it was really funny.
Yeah.
And then it developed into like the Coco and Wee Wee show. Because my sister, Wee Wee, I was never called Wee Wee till my niece was born.
I was wondering where that
Do you
came
want
from.
to
never-
explain that to the audience?
Yeah,
What
so
wee-wee
so
is?
Yeah.
my name is Christina, but my sister got pregnant, had a baby. When she started talking, she couldn't say Chrissy, which my family calls me Chrissy. Aunt Wee Wee came about, Wee Wee. Then everybody started calling me Wee Wee.
Got it. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
then my sister, I'm not going to even get into that story, but she got divorced, long story short. And she wanted to change her name and not like she wanted to erase Maria is her name. So she started calling herself Coco.
Well, some girls, cut their hair off, and she wants to just change her name to Coco.
Coco Warbucks.
Coco Warbucks in the house. What's up?
So you're
So
doing
we-
the Coco
so-
and
The
Wee Wee
rebirth.
show.
Well, because we had, we're loud Italian girls like living in Nashville, and back then, like, there wasn't like that many New Yorkers. Now there probably is like tons.
Yeah.
But my friend was like, "You guys need to like film this. Your life is ridiculous. Like, me and my sister lived together with her daughter, and like, just crazy
Yeah.
shit would always happen to us." And our friend just recommended us filming a kind of reality-based show.
Well, then I remember this show actually got some traction, and a film crew, I believe, came in.
A Hollywood production company.
A Hollywood production company comes in. They got a little taste of the show.
Yeah.
They watched it on YouTube or
Yeah, they found it on YouTube, and they happened to be looking for like reality shows about families because that was like a popular thing going on, which kind of still is.
yeah.
But they loved our show. They thought we were like hysterical, and like my dad wound up moving to Nashville. He was here. It was this whole big
The
like
whole fam's involved.
dysfunctional functioning family, and so they filmed us and pitched us to like major networks.
Wow, I mean, what
Yeah.
was that like? You got a
Amazing.
Hollywood film crew coming in. They're filming this, this sketch comedy idea that you and your sister have created. You're kind of known locally around
Yeah.
here, and now, like, they're pitching you to major networks.
But yeah, they came to Nashville and filmed us. They followed us, a whole camera crew for like a week. They followed us around. But they kind of changed the idea of what we had, which is why I think it didn't wind up getting picked up, because it wasn't authentic. Like when we filmed it ourselves, it was authentic and funny and wacky, and they kind of like toned it down a bit and made it,
They Hollywoodized it.
Reality TV, which is not really reality.
It's not, well, you say reality TV, and I guess that's going to have to stem me into my next question. Speaking of reality TV, I remember when I first met you, you had just gotten off of a reality TV show.
I did.
And I remember, it's funny. So I was actually dating my ex-girlfriend at the time. I'll never forget. We see this show, like little preview for it's a VH1 show called Dating Naked. And I'm just thinking to myself, this is silly. This is out of control.
Yeah.
We gotta watch this.
I would have thought the same thing.
I watched the opening show. And little did I know that girl that I saw on the very first episode would be my wife someday.
Wow.
So let's talk about that. So the Coco Weeby show, they pitch it to networks.
Coco Weeby shows it, yeah. Go
the
ahead.
networks, they kind of, they show some interest.
They
but
loved
like,
my sister. They loved us.
So they love it.
They loved us, but they just didn't love what they filmed.
Okay.
Because it wasn't true to I mean, it was about my family, but they wanted us to try and open a freaking bakery, and like that's not what I was trying to do.
Okay, so
work.
lost a little authenticity.
Lost
there.
the authenticity, but I still was like, I want to be on TV. I was like, I yelled it out to the universe. I'm gonna be on TV. I don't know what is gonna occur, but something's gonna come, and I got.
So how the hell does it happen?
Yeah, take us through that.
So you just throw it out to the universe.
Because at this point, I was living in Nashville for a couple of years, and I was totally into like manifesting. I started meditating hardcore and like reading Esther Hicks, like she does the teachings of Abraham, and she's big into like ask the universe and you will receive it. So I was like, I'm asking the universe. I want to be on TV. And then like a couple of days later, I got a casting for like a dating. It just said like, do you want to fall in love and travel? And I was like, yes, this is it. Like, this is what it is. So I applied for the show, and they called me like 24 hours later, and the casting guy was like, we think, you're just so like cute, and we really want you to apply for like to do a Skype for the show with the producers and push you, we want to push you through the next stage. And I was like, yeah, great. And he's like, by the way, the show is a naked show.
Ooh.
And I was like dead silent because I was like, what? And he's like, are you there? I'm like, yeah. And he's just like, well, is it like hell no, or like are you into this? And I was like, yeah, okay, why not? I'm like, okay.
Holy
I mean,
shit.
I'm comfortable with being naked. I'm not ashamed of being naked, and I'm single. Like whatever, yeah.
Not just naked,
let's just
but
go through with it.
Well, not just naked, but national television naked.
But then he went into the whole explanation of how like it's gonna be on VH1, so it's gonna be blurred out. No one's gonna actually see you naked. And the whole concept of the show, I loved it because it was like you get rid of all your like material possessions, your phone, your computers, like no technology, and you just go like to an island and you get to know someone without all the like bullshit that goes on in the world. So I was like, it's kind of a cool concept. All right, I'll try it.
That had to be awkward to be because the person you're in the scenes with can see you.
Yeah, and the people who are filming it, the whole crew around you.
How was that? That's got to be crazy. Like, exercise and vulnerability there.
Oh my God, totally. Like I thought, like I didn't like leading up to it. I was like, it's gonna be fine, whatever. Like, big deal. I'm just gonna be naked, whatever. But when you have to actually like, so like the first date because I went on 3 naked dates because I was the main dater, then there was a male main dater, and then we both date each other, and then 2 other people. So I remember the first time I had to take my clothes off, there's a camera person that comes with you, and they take you like to the like this private area, and they film you like undressing. Right before that, I was like, I need a drink, and it was like 9 a.m. I'm like, I have to have a drink. Like, there's no way I could do this sober.
That's crazy.
Did they bring you a drink?
Yeah, they brought me like a bottle of wine, a whole bottle. I didn't drink the
They
whole
brought you
bottle.
drinks.
I didn't want to get sloppy and
Yeah.
like stupid, so I had like a glass,
Nice.
and then had to undress and then meet somebody for the first time with no clothes on. 3 people for the first time with no clothes on.
That's great. Did it get easier after a while?
Yeah, by the last date, I was like, "What's up?"
Yeah.
And like that, the guy was like uncomfortable because it was his first time undressing.
Yeah.
But yeah, by the third time, I was just like, "Who cares?" I knew all the crew. Like, I had been around them for like a week, and I didn't feel uncomfortable probably after the third day of like knowing the producers and the mics, the people who were holding the mics and all that. I was like, whatever, who cares?
Yeah.
Well, I know in your book, and you guys gonna have to read the book to
Yeah.
know all the dirt about that, because and that's
there's
one of my
really
favorite
big-
chapters I
yeah,
was reading through. But I mean, when I first met you, and you were telling me all this stuff, like I was very intimidated because I'm
Really?
like, wow. Well, I mean, you were on national television.
Would you guys
naked.
ever get naked
No.
on TV?
no, absolutely not.
No, that's why I was intimidated. I'm like, you got more balls than
You
I
never
do,
would
girl.
do it, really?
No.
It's such an invigorating feeling.
I'm sure it is. I just can't ever picture myself.
I don't
doing
even
that.
like looking in the mirror naked.
Yeah.
I don't want my dog to see me naked.
Oh,
Plus, like,
everyone's born naked. You know,
I mean, dude.
you're born naked.
Yeah, but like, what if you guys are having a good talk and like there's nothing to like hide behind, you know?
That's what I'm saying.
If you're
Yeah.
throwing up the smoke signals, man, that's awkward as shit. Like,
What if the wind hits it just right? And
No
Right.
one, no
Yeah,
one
like-
got, no one got a boner
really,
ever. They were too nervous. Yeah,
dude.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Plus, they're
so then
probably
that's,
drinking,
that's
too.
worse too. Then
yeah.
then
That's
you're
what
like,
they said. They said it was worse.
Yeah. Now you're like, well, this is not accurate. but,
Yeah.
whatever. Guys, I'm
Yeah.
nervous. Yeah, whatever, bro.
The pool was cold. It was cold.
That's what they all kept saying. It was like 100 degrees. They're like, it's cold. It's cold.
Oh my gosh.
No.
So that's crazy. So you filmed this show. It's and the show was it 3 seasons long?
It was 3 seasons. But
And you were also in the wedding episode.
I was in the first season, the first episode, and then the last episode, which was like a reunion.
and it was
wedding episode.
And then it was like a reunion. It was a wedding, and it was also
wasn't-
naked. It was a naked
It was a
wedding.
naked wedding, and we did like naked yoga. Okay, there was like how many people? Maybe 16 people doing naked yoga in broad daylight, and like
Bending
Entertainment
over.
Tonight came to film this, and it was on Entertainment Tonight, like us doing naked yoga, and like yeah, there was a lot of wine at that point, and a lot of drunkenness. I definitely got tipsy. I had to.
Oh, there's not even enough wine created in this world. There's not enough.
no.
There's not enough grapes to make me do that shit, man.
I have to say,
Dude,
though,
especially if there's people behind you.
I know
Like,
exactly.
what are you
Exactly.
doing,
Exactly.
dude?
Did you where did you? I would volunteer. I'll take the back.
I was.
Yeah.
They put me in the front next to like the people that were getting married, like me and the guy that I was dating or whatever, or not really dating, but
Yeah. Scripted
scripted dating. We were in the front, and I was like, "Are you kidding? I got to bend down in front of all these people and cameras."
Downward dog with your
Wow.
hog hanging out.
Exactly.
Oh my
Dude,
gosh.
that's so...
It was pretty
Oh,
awkward.
Yeah.
Okay,
The
so
that
okay.
episode didn't do so well.
Well, so what was the biggest like lesson you took away from all that? That had to be so on top of being just a crazy experience. Like what was like the big takeaway from that?
I think the big takeaway for me, I was like, wow, I really feel like I really feel like fuck them all, big and small, because I feel like I was like, I proved to myself that I have a lot of balls, I guess, you know, like.
all right, y'all, that's going to do it for part 1 of our conversation with the lovely, my beautiful wife, Mrs. Christina Porcelli Lester. Y'all stay tuned next week as we continue this conversation with her, get to know her just a little bit more, and talk more about that book, Fuck 'Em All, Big and Small, coming at you this summer. You guys have a great week, and we're going to see you next time. And don't forget, bomb your boundaries, baby. Peace.